In this video, we're going to learn how to import a DXF pattern file and prepare it for stitching. We will cover the following: import DXF, identify pattern pieces, and symmetry. To begin, we import the DXF file. Note that vStitcher supports DXF AAMA and ASTM file formats. If we look at the 2D window, we see a total measurement of our 2D workspace along with the length and width of the visible workspace. We can also see a bounding box around each piece with a measurement. Before we can fully import the file, we need to review the Import Options dialog box. Let's take a closer look at some of the available settings. For DXF units, we only need to change the settings if the indicated measurements for the pattern pieces in the 2D window look incorrect. We can select Preview to see the effect of an option change. This measurement looks too big. Let's change it back to centimeters. We normally leave the settings in centimeters as long as the values and the size of the patterns looks correct in the 2D window. Note that the units of measurement used in the 2D window is set by our own preferences. In other words, if our preferences are set to inches, a measurement of 20 means 20 inches. The Import Options settings determine how points are displayed. Because every software creating a DXF file has its own peculiarities, we may need to experiment to find the best setting. Match your import option settings to the options shown. Once we're happy with the settings, we click OK and the file is imported. Let's expand the 2D window. We can do so by placing our mouse in the 2D window, then clicking Tab on our keyboard. Let's go to the 2D tab on the Resources tabs. We can see each pattern piece listed in the 2D tab. Each piece is displayed with its name followed by ID. The ID is a system-generated number displayed in square brackets. We cannot edit the ID, but we can edit the name by double-clicking the existing name and typing in whatever we want for the new name. Note that we can toggle the display of piece information in the 2D window using the eye icon on the 2D window toolbar. If we would like to see the piece name in the 2D window, we will need to navigate to our main menu, View, 2D Display, Shape Options, and ensure Piece Names is selected. We can select a piece by clicking on it, after which it appears with a blue highlight. When we import a DXF file, we may see a warning icon displaying on the pattern piece listed in the 2D tab. This is typically to remind us we need to arrange the pattern piece before we can simulate the garment. This topic is covered in detail in a separate video. Now let's move away from the 2D tab and focus on the context view. The contents of the context view depend on the elements we select and the tool we select. For example, when we select a pattern piece, the context view displays options relevant to a piece. Similarly, when we select a line, the context view displays options relevant to a line. However, notice how the line options change depending on whether we select an edge or an internal line. And when we select a point, the available options in the context view change. Lastly, if you have selected a pattern in the 2D, 3D window, you can toggle to line or point in the context view to select all the lines or points on the pattern. Now that we are familiar with reviewing the pattern piece details, let's arrange our patterns in the 2D window. This step helps us familiarize ourselves with the patterns in the file, confirm all necessary patterns are included, and identify if we need to add symmetry to the pattern pieces. We split the 2D window into two sections. We put the front pattern pieces on the left and the back pattern pieces on the right. We arrange the sleeve next to the front body with the sleeve caps facing in towards the front armhole. The collar is placed above the back pieces aligned to the center back. When there are multiple pieces that make up the front and back, we organize the pattern top to bottom and left to right, aligning the edges where they should stitch, but with a slight gap between the edges. It is not required to use this layout, but we recommend using this layout as a beginner. Let's start by identifying our pattern pieces. With Shape Info turned on, we can see the name of the patterns. We can reference the specification sheet to help identify the pattern pieces as well. Starting with the front, we identify the front yoke. Next, we position the 3 front panel pieces. Then we have the front waist and skirt. Lastly, we identify the front placket and align it with the other front pattern pieces. Next, we will show you how to create shape symmetry. We only have pattern pieces for the wearer's left front. In some cases, a DXF may not include a symmetrical copy of the patterns. Shape symmetry allows us to link pieces or edges so that actions done to one are automatically done to the other. Applying symmetry to all possible pattern pieces can greatly increase speed and efficiency when building 3D garments. Piece symmetry has 2 directions that the piece actions can mirror: x-axis, meaning horizontal, left and right, y-axis, meaning vertical, up and down. Let's create a symmetrical copy of the front yoke. We do this by selecting the piece in the 2D window, then going to the Action section in the context view and clicking the symmetry we want. Now we have a symmetrical copy of our pattern piece. If we make a change to the original piece, the change is automatically replicated on the symmetrical piece. To cancel piece symmetry, we select the piece in the 2D window and then go to the Action section in the context view, this time clicking Cancel. Note that although we cancel the symmetry, both pieces remain. Let's undo this action. Piece symmetry is indicated by text at the bottom left of the shape. The text refers to the ID number of the pattern piece. Take some time to complete adding X symmetry to the front panels, waistband, placket, and skirt. We can add symmetry to multiple pattern pieces at a time by selecting all the pieces, then applying symmetry. Now let's identify our back patterns. We arrange our back patterns to the side of our front patterns. We only have a symmetrical half of some of our back patterns. Let's create edge symmetry. Edge symmetry extends the symmetry of a piece by using an edge. Let's apply edge symmetry to this edge. We do this by selecting the edge in the 2D window and then going to the Action section in the context view, and at Edge Symmetry, click Create. The original piece is extended through the chosen edge. Applied edge symmetry is indicated by a dashed line through a pattern piece. The new piece has symmetry on each side of the symmetry line. To cancel edge symmetry, we select the piece in the 2D window and then go to the Action section in the context view. To cancel edge symmetry, we have 2 options: keep both or keep half. If we select keep both, the pattern piece remains but with symmetry canceled. If we select keep half, only the original half of the pattern piece is retained. Review the back patterns. Identify which symmetry type is needed per piece and apply edge or piece symmetry. Remember to check the specification sheet design reference. We need to add edge symmetry to the back panel, waist, and skirt. We can also create edge symmetry by right-clicking the edge. Apply piece symmetry X to the back side panel. When we arrange the pattern pieces in the next step, we need the sleeves to be rotated. We turn on the gizmo under the Select tool on the horizontal contextual menu. When we select the sleeve pattern, the gizmo now displays. Click and drag the black dot to rotate the sleeve. Hold Shift to rotate constraining to 45-degree angles. Be sure to rotate the sleeve so that the double notch indicating the back of the sleeve along the armhole is facing up. We do the same for the sleeve cuffs. Lastly, we position our collar over the back body and align the sleeve cuffs to the sleeves. Let's save our file. In this video, we have shown how to import a DXF and identify the patterns. For more information on the topics discussed, check out the video description.